we're going to pull back the curtain on the textile industry today. And we're going to reveal this hidden, kind of high stakes journey a piece of fabric takes way before it ever gets its color. It's this whole story of fire and chemistry, and this incredible transformation that starts long before anyone even thinks about mixing dye. We all kind of get the idea of dyeing, right? It's how our favorite t-shirts get that perfect blue, or our jeans get their shade. We just picture these big vats of brilliant color, turning plain cloth into something special. But what you might not know is that that's actually the final act of a much, much longer play. Right. So, before a fabric can even think about accepting color, it has to be totally stripped down, purified, and pretty much rebuilt from the fiber up. It's got to go through this whole series of intense preparatory treatments, or pre-treatments, that are all designed to turn it from a rough, raw material into a perfect blank canvas. And that journey starts with the fabric in its most basic, unfinished state, fresh from the weaving mill. And funny enough, it's known by a very specific, kind of weird name. It's called a gray good. Now, this doesn't mean the fabric is actually gray in color. Nope. It's just the industry term for any completely raw, unfinished cloth. And at this point, it's just jam-packed with impurities, it feels stiff, and believe it or not, it's actually hydrophobic, which means it repels water. You couldn't dye this thing if you tried. So why is it so unusable? Well, it's loaded with two kinds of junk. First, you've got the natural impurities, things like oils, waxes, even little bits of seeds and leaves from the raw fiber itself. Then you have the added impurities, and these are things put there on purpose, like starch, lubricants, and anti-static agents that actually help make the weaving process run smoothly. And yeah, all of that gunk has got to go. Okay, so the first phase of this makeover is all about tackling the most obvious problems right on the fabric surface. It's kind of like a combination of a super close shave and a really deep wash to get rid of all the fuzz and that protective coating. So during weaving, the yarns are under a ton of friction. And all that rubbing and pulling creates these tiny fibers that stick out, creating this fuzzy surface or hairiness. Not only does it feel rough, but it can make the dye look all splotchy later on. So the solution? It's pretty dramatic. The fabric gets a literal trial by fire. I'm not kidding. It's passed through a singeing machine, moving over an open flame at speeds up to 300 yards per minute. And that speed is absolutely critical. It has to be just fast enough to burn off all those little stray fibers without actually scorching the fabric itself. It's pretty wild. Next up, they have to tackle that added impurity we mentioned earlier, sizing. The best way to think of sizing is like a temporary hair gel for yarn. It's usually made of starch, and it's put on to make the yarn stronger so it doesn't break during all the stress of weaving. It's totally essential for making the cloth, but now it's just in the way, making the fabric stiff and water repellent. To get rid of it, the fabric goes through a process called, you guessed it, desizing. It's soaked in this big bath full of enzymes that are specifically designed to target and break down that starch. The bath just dissolves the sizing, washing away that stiff feeling and, for the first time, allowing the fabric to actually start absorbing water. All right, with all that surface-level gunk gone, it's time to go deeper. This is the chemical deep clean. These next treatments are designed to get rid of the invisible, natural impurities that are still locked away inside the fibers themselves. You can think of this next step, scouring, as like a super powerful, deep cleansing facial for the fabric. It gets treated with a really strong alkali solution, something like sodium hydroxide, and it's boiled for an hour or two. This aggressive chemical bath strips away all those natural oils and waxes, and this is the moment the fabric becomes truly, deeply absorbent. So now the fabric is clean, it's absorbent, but it's still not truly white. Natural fibers, especially cotton, have this kind of yellowish off-white tint to them. And if you want to dye something a bright pastel pink, or you just want to sell a crisp white shirt, you have to get rid of that natural base color first. And the difference this makes is just stunning. You can really see it here with this cotton yarn. Before bleaching, it has that natural creamy color, but afterwards, it's a pure uniform white. This is done with an oxidizing agent that basically destroys the natural color molecules, finally creating that perfect blank canvas for any color you could imagine. And here's a cool little fact. What's the most common chemical used for this? A lot of the time, it's just good old hydrogen peroxide. It's known in the biz as a universal bleaching agent because it's mild enough to whiten all sorts of different fibers, from tough cotton to delicate silk, without causing a lot of damage.
For a lot of fabrics, the journey might end right there. But for cotton, there's one last, optional step that really takes it from good to great. It's a true glow-up that fundamentally changes its whole structure.
This process is called mercerization, and it was actually discovered by accident by a chemist named John Mercer. The story goes he was just filtering a chemical solution through a piece of cotton cloth one day when he noticed it changed the fabric in some really remarkable ways. So, what Mercer discovered was that if you treat cotton with a cold, concentrated solution of sodium hydroxide, the fibers literally swell up. They go from this flat, kind of kidney bean shape to a plump, round cylinder. And that physical change has some incredible benefits. Seriously, mercerization is like a super soldier serum for cotton. It can make it stronger by up to 25%. And because the new rounded fibers reflect more light, the fabric gets this beautiful luster and shine. And most importantly, it makes the fabric even more absorbent so it can soak up dye more easily and more evenly than ever before. It's a total upgrade. And with that, the transformation is complete. The fabric has finally finished its invisible journey, and now it's prepped and ready for the main event, getting some color. So let's just do a quick recap of this incredible makeover. First, the fabric was singed by fire to get rid of the fuzz. Then, it was desized to wash away that starchy coating. After that, it was scoured in a chemical bath to remove the natural oils, bleached to a perfect white, and finally, for cotton, mercerized to become stronger and shinier than ever. So what started out as a rough, dirty, water-repelling gray good has been meticulously engineered into the strong, super absorbent, brilliant white canvas, perfectly prepared to become any color we want it to be. It's this incredibly intense, industrial process that is completely hidden from us when we're shopping, but it is the essential foundation for the color, the feel, and the quality of almost every piece of clothing we own. Kind of makes you wonder, what other invisible journeys are hidden in the everyday objects all around us?